Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about kind of just a more serious topic because I was chatting about this actually on my podcast, Souls at Sundown, which is uploaded to SoundCloud and iTunes if you never knew that. And I was talking about it in like the last episode, just basically like sexual abuse and what happens after, you know, being a victim myself. So I just wanted to film this to hopefully help some of you and just to talk about my own journey with healing and all of those things. And yeah, so that's why I'm here today. So I talked about the incident briefly in my video called Let's Talk About Consent that I uploaded probably like almost a year ago now. And shout out to you guys if you saw that video because it was just very well received and I really enjoyed filming that and getting all of the stuff out into the open that I needed to talk about. And it was basically just a chat about consent and why it's important and how we need to be teaching it to kids and not kids and just everyone, honestly. And so yeah, I'm not going to go too into depth into this story because it's triggering, but I will just kind of give you a brief background about my abuse story. So I was sexually abused when I was 18, I believe. I was actually at a photo shoot that day and the guy who was taking my pics was just being super over the top flirty all day. I just thought that he was into me. It wasn't really like someone that I knew very well. It was more of like a friend of a friend type situation. And I'm not saying that it's destructive to go and take photo shoots, you know, you just have to be very fucking careful who you're shooting with if you don't know them. So that being said, I brought a friend as my safety net and yeah, he was just being kind of like creepy the entire day. It was just a bunch of red flags going all over the place, but for some reason I just didn't really like think much of it. And then we drove him back to his house to drop him off and he asked me to walk him upstairs to his apartment and I was like, you're like a 20-something-year-old dude, you know, like why can't you just walk yourself? But I was just like, okay, and I did, and he basically just kind of forcefully took me into his apartment and did the deed, you know? And I think that this is an important part to the story because when I used to talk about this with my girlfriends, like my incident that happened to me when we were sharing similar stories, because almost every single woman I know has a story about their own personal, you know, sexual abuse and all of that, which is just insane that we live in a world like that. But I was talking about this with two of my friends over a year ago, probably it was, and we were just sharing stories and both of them had been raped, but I was not raped. He just did very odd and unwanted things to me that I was just saying no to the entire time. And I used to think that my story wasn't as bad as theirs because he didn't rape me. And I would be like, oh, you know, I don't need to go to counseling for this because he didn't rape me, or oh, I can't really complain about it because he didn't rape me, you know? And it's just not true because it was forceful, unwanted, and I was saying no the entire time, and like there just doesn't need to be reasoning with that. And so I wanted to share that little bit because I want you guys to know that your story is valid and you have the complete right to feel violated as a person if somebody literally violated you. I should have put like a trigger warning at the beginning of this now that I'm getting into more detailed stuff about it, I suppose, but I feel more comfortable talking about it now than I ever have in my entire life. So that's why I'm making this video, because I feel like my healing journey has really come very far in the past year, specifically because of the man that I'm with right now, Finley. He's just amazing to me and is just so supportive and listens to everything that I have to say about this all. And I really wanted to film this originally because I wanted to talk about trauma in love and being in love with somebody but still having triggers or memories of the incident and not being able to fully be here for the person who loves you so much because you have such trust issues because of what happened to you. And I also just wanted to talk about, you know, like what happens after that. Obviously your abuser is not thinking about, you know, like how they're ruining your relationships and ability to trust people for the rest of your fucking life. And after that happens to you, there's just so much self-work that needs to be put in to heal the wound. And I don't know what my abuser is doing now, and sometimes I think about it and think about like coming out into the public and saying who it was and dragging the fuck out of him, and then I'm just like, why do I need to relive it again, you know? So that's why I'm not really obviously naming names and pointing fingers and whatever the fuck. And I blocked him on everything, and I don't know what he's doing now, but Lord, I hope that he found some help, or I hope he had some kind of a fucking wake-up call, or somebody just beat the shit out of him. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about that now, but I am going to talk about afterwards that this kind of thing happens to you, the things that you feel. Obviously a great sense of guilt, almost a regret, even though you didn't do anything wrong. It's a very like shameful experience. And even right after it happened to me, I told you guys I was with a friend. She was waiting for me in the car while I walked him upstairs. And I was telling my abuser like, oh, my friend's waiting for me. I can't stay up here. No, 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 you know? And he was like, oh, I'll text her right now. And fake texted her being like, be down in a minute or something. And he was like, okay, yeah, she said it's cool. And I didn't even find that out until I went downstairs to her car and got in the car and basically was just like, sorry, he was just like being weird. I didn't say anything about what actually fucking just happened to me. That would literally scar me for the rest of my life. And I was like, but he texted you, right? And she was just like, no, he didn't. And not like that's really shocking news that he didn't go out of his way to let my friend know that I was okay, because I fucking wasn't. But it's just so many little things like that that are like, fuck you, dude. God damn it, I didn't have my phone on me and I left it in the car with her, and just so many things were wrong with that situation. And this recall, this emotional recall, dude, this is what trips me and makes me just like get so triggered about it all over again and feel that whole cycle of like guilt, shame. What could I have done differently to avoid this happening to me? How could this have happened to me? You know, that's the feeling that you have after it happens to you. Like, you're just in shock. You're just like, what the fuck? I didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. What? And I talked about this in my consent video as well, but I did not know that what happened to me was sexual abuse until I finally opened up to somebody about it, basically a year later. And Finley was the first person to help me realize that what happened to me was, in his words, basically rape. And that's when it all kind of settled in. And I think that it's very important to have somebody who hears your story, like actually fucking hears you, not somebody who's just like, oh, you know, I don't know if that's what it was. You know, you need somebody to actually help you validate what happened to you. And if you have a true friend, I'm sure that they are the ones for that. But if this did happen to you and you have been holding it in for a really long time and repressing it, I just strongly encourage you to find someone to open up to, whether it be, you know, a therapist or a good friend. Because yes, it's triggering to like almost relive it over again, but you need to do that to just like open up the floodgates for healing, and cry it out and heal it out after that. And what was really hard for me after all of this even happened to me was trusting again, because I just would continue the cycle of kind of abuse to myself, in the way that I was only in surface level relationships with people for either, you know, pleasure or just fun. And I just was always like, oh, you know, one day I'll find love. But I wasn't allowing myself to feel that or find it in anybody that I was, you know, messing around with. Now that I'm thinking about it, none of those men were the ones that I would have even considered opening up to, because it just wasn't tight what we were in. You know, we both knew that we didn't fucking care. And so if you're in a situation like that too, dude, like, know it for what it is. And it's just important to let yourself have that moment where you eventually realize your self-worth and you're like, I don't fucking need to be doing this anymore. Like, I want love. I don't want lust with you that's obviously not going anywhere, you know? And I'm on a tangent now, but basically, yeah, don't look for healing in stupid ass relationships after that. Relationships, I'm saying in quotes, because, you know, flings are flings. But yeah, I couldn't really trust any of those flings that I had before Finley. And then when things started getting more serious with Finley, I had triggers all the fucking time, like just little things that would set me over the edge. Like if he would whisper in my ear, just literally playfully, or just trying to like make a joke or something, it would trigger me and make me think of my abuser. If he came anywhere from like behind, it would freak me the fuck out. And I have such a distinct memory of this one time when he was tickling me just playfully, and I was saying stop, 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 and he wasn't stopping because like it was a fucking joke to him, you know? And then I just screamed stop to the point where he literally like pushed himself away and was like fucking scared. And I just started to break down crying, and I was like, please, when I tell you to stop doing something, fucking stop. Because that's the situation that you go through when you're abused, is they're not fucking listening to you and you feel helpless and so strange, and like, why can't you get the message that I don't want that? This is the opposite of what I could ever want, and like, you're still advancing, you know? So I definitely had a lot of conversations with him at the beginning, and he was always just so helpful and so loving and so there to listen. And that's so fucking important when you've been through something like that, is having a lover later who really gets it and isn't just gonna keep triggering you. And so Finley was definitely a big part of my healing, and I really appreciate him for that. And I wanted to talk about this because I'm sure that other people have gone through similar situations, and I know that for sure because I reached out to one of my friends who had a similar situation happen to her, and she was in a relationship at the time, and I was like, does he ever, you know, trigger you in certain ways? And she was like, yes, dude, like I can't have him walking behind me on the sidewalk, because her abuser also came up from behind. And I think maybe a lot of women have that same narrative. And so I guess what I would say to like kind of conclude that chapter of all of this is communication is key with whoever you're with, any partner, anything, even just friends. Like some friends don't know those things and will trigger it without even knowing, and you can't get mad at these people because obviously they didn't know it or mean to. And if somebody does mean to, then they're not your fucking friend if they're like purposely triggering you. Like, that's just fucked up. But yeah, I basically feel like I've covered most of the points that I jotted down to address in this. But the main thing that I want to say is it's not your fault. It never was. And if there's one thing that you can do to help yourself heal, is find a healthy love and heal yourself through that, and learning through that process of what real love is. Because being a victim, you obviously know what love isn't if you've been in a situation like that. And so I guess just don't let them fucking win is what I'm trying to say. Like, don't let them have that over you for the rest of your life and continue to ruin shit for you because they left this huge emotional scar in you. It's really important after that happens to just like know your self-worth and harness your own power and use it for the benefit of your own life afterwards. This all being said, man, thank you so much for listening. If you guys watched all the way through this, and my heart is with you if anything has happened to you that's similar to my story. I promise you that it does get better, and that you have the ability to heal whatever terrible things have happened to you. Seriously, you just need to put in the work and effort, and yeah, fuck them for making it such a process, but you'll get there, you know? All right, I'm gonna wrap this up now. I love you guys so very much. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching this. I know this was a heavy topic, but yeah, just thanks so much for watching. Okay, stay smiling. Bye.
It's 2018 and I've realized that nobody is safe long as she is alive, and every friend that I know has a story like mine.